Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on crypto. I hope you're having a great weekend. So it's been a minute since I've done a Sunday roundup, but there's been a lot going on, a lot, and I hope you forgive me. There's stuff coming this week, but anyway, there was stuff that happened last week and stuff that I see that's coming down the road that's making me think about what it is that I should be focused on, for my investments, right? My son's got me looking at different properties, gas stations, gyms, just businesses that we can get into. Then of course, I'm looking at crypto and how we can make money there. And I look at crypto in a couple of different ways. I look at crypto from an investment perspective, from a trading perspective, and from a store value perspective, right? And then I start hitting the news, like what's just in general, what's going on that can affect money, right? Not just money, but my money. So I started thinking about, you have all these talking heads out there that are talking about a soft landing, right, with regard to the recession. Now, I can see that, right? You've got oil that's about to hit, that could hit, it's, what is it, fifth week of gains. I saw it at the pump yesterday. A gallon of gas at Costco was $4.25 for premium. Ouch. And then you start to look around and you start to kind of go, core PCE numbers have been, at the lowest since 2 years. It's at 4.1%. And then I started, just looking around in general, just what are jobs looking like? How are people spending money? I listen to news, like how people are spending money. They're not spending money on home improvement and everything else. They did that during the pandemic. So what are they spending their money on now? Everything's shifting to experiences. That experience could be at home, but they spent that block of money there. So the real experience that's going on is they're traveling. They're traveling to different places, doing different things. And that says that the US economy is actually pretty strong, just not overheated, right? And when you really start to think about inflation, you start to look at all these companies that are hitting record highs and everything else. And I sit there and I just kind of go, wow, you're hitting record highs. So is that from inflation or is that from, you hiking prices to make more money because people still think we're on a certain track? I think it's that one. So now you're starting to see different things go on. You're starting to see companies, try to push people to go back to work, go back to the office rather. And then you see other companies taking the exact opposite road. Don't go back to the office. We have something remote for you. It's cost effective for us, very cost effective for you. Work from anywhere. I mean, I'm seeing companies in middle America reaching out to big cities saying, hey, you don't even have to come here. We just need you to do this. That's very tantalizing. And it goes to show that, people are going to travel or have more to travel with, right? Or do something with because they don't have to spend that money on commuting back and forth to work. That's the actual cost of commuting. The cost of getting dressed, you got to keep your clothes clean and all that good stuff, depending on what kind of office you're going to, suit, tie, jacket, skirt, dress, high heels, shoes, just everything that goes into that. So cleaning bills, like I said, the actual cost of the commute, that's whether or not you're taking public transportation or driving. Some people live in areas that you cannot, really find convenience in taking public transportation versus driving. But when you remove that problem, you're removing anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 and putting it back in their pockets. That is huge. $10,000 to $20,000. Just go look it up. Go do your research on that. Go do your research on how much the average commute costs, right? When you look at New York City, that's, again, anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000, and that $10,000 and $20,000 is affected by the new congestion tax, or they call it a fee, but it's tax. If you drive below 60th Street, basically the bulk of Manhattan business, right? It's the only city I think that's doing something like that. They already have the cameras and equipment up to capture your license plates and all that good stuff to charge you the money. And it's going to make people stop and think, do I really need a job that's going to force me to go someplace, you know, an hour to get someplace, an hour to get back, 2 hours out of my day. By the time I get back home, I'm drained because I've spent 8 or 9 hours in the office and 2 hours in travel time or commute time. That's 11 hours in the day. By the time I get home, I am done. Right? It takes a lot of energy. And if you get up in the morning and you go work out, or you want to come home and be in time, be home in time to watch the kids play, play their sports or see a recital, or, just go out to dinner or anything else like that, it's tough. And, not to say that everybody wasn't doing it before, but now it's kind of noticeable. And I go into all of this because that's why I look at crypto, right? Because it's a change in, people's thought process in terms of how they can actually save money and make money work for them going forward. You have a lot more people looking at how they can invest, right? That's what crypto did. It wasn't just about crypto, right? At least not for me and what I'm teaching my kids. It's not just about crypto. It's about, I woke up and crypto was here, got involved, started talking to my kids about it, but then it led to other conversations just about investing in general, right? Conversations that were not necessarily happening before. And then when I started doing speaking engagements for college recruiting, I started asking those student athletes, well, where do you see yourself down the road in terms of kind of college education that you want? Turn around and look back and see the paths that can get you there from where you are. Those are the straightest lines. So when you look at that, you're looking at how people live. And when you can put $10,000 to $20,000 back in their pocket, just by saying you don't have to commute back into the office, that's $10,000 or $20,000 that they can say, oh, I'm going to invest a bit in here. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They actually start to plan. And they start to realize that there's a better life out there. Now, if you save properly and you invest properly, saving is not enough. Okay, first of all, saving is not enough. You must have your money working for you. Or at least that's what I teach my kids. It's not enough to put your money in a bank. It's not enough to put your money in a mutual fund. You have to put your money someplace where it's going to work for you. So I have a friend of mine. As soon as he and his ex-wife had their first kid, what did he do? He ran out and bought a piece of real estate for that child. It was a timing thing. So by the time they hit 18 years old, ready to go to college, he's ready to dump the property. Or he's ready to take all the money that he made from the property and put it toward college and not have to worry about it. Brilliant. Of course, he went to school for that. He went to school for, he's not a CPA, but he's basically a CFO. This guy, Scott, great guy, funny as hell. We used to crack up in the office, just throw barbs back and forth. And young guy, happy guy. One of my other friends actually knows him, went to prom with him. And it's amazing where you can find little tidbits that help you grow, help you prosper. And now you know why I tell you to actually do your own research. There's a reason for it. So the Biden administration is talking about finally addressing BRICS nations and interest there. You have 5 crypto bills that are hitting the market, hitting Congress. And what that says is, hey, we're finally ready to put some guardrails up. After the fiasco brought by Gary Gensler and the SEC, we're finally ready to do something. Both sides of the aisle are not necessarily in line either, right? Elizabeth Warren cannot stand crypto. And at first she couldn't stand Wall Street banks, but it's amazing how she's now touting that Wall Street banks back my opinion. the enemy of my enemy is my friend, perhaps. And I see that as what's happening now. You do have some Wall Street banks that are just thinking, yeah, no, we don't like the idea of crypto. And then you have other banks that are saying, yeah, you keep that thought. We plan on being here in the future and we're investing in crypto. We're investing in new technologies, AI, crypto, Web3, all this other stuff. We're going to do that. Because if you don't, you're going to miss out. Interesting. Very interesting. Again, this is why I tell you to do your own research so you can put your own 2 and 2 together to come up with the right equation for your investments, for your savings, for your future. I get out here and I listen to different people and I hear what they're saying. And a lot of them are just like, oh, Bitcoin's going to take off soon. And they've been saying this for a while. And, just like a broken watch, it's right 2 times out of the day, right? So sooner or later it'll take off and everything will be great. But that's not going to help me actually think about what I'm going to do in the future and how I'm going to do it. And that's why I do my own research. That's why I dig in. I look at news like, oh, Biden administration finally paying attention to BRICS, huh? And look at what BRICS is doing. They're going after developing nations. How are they doing that? Well, Russia and China have been throwing money at those nations. What those nations realize or don't realize is that all that money bought them a whole bunch of stuff. And it's hard to get out from underneath that thumb. And the United States is saying, pay attention to that. At least our thumb, their thumb, not so much. Then you have to wonder about, well, China and Russia are throwing money around outside of their countries. So why is your internal, economy hurting so bad? Makes you stop and wonder. Need all of these other countries to come into BRICS. They need that. And that's what I pay attention to it's things like that I pay attention to as we move forward. Then you have people like Elon Musk dropping news, making hints. And then all of a sudden Doge picks up. Now, Doge is funny. Everybody says, oh, Doge has no use or anything else. Doge has a use. Because if you pay attention to its trading volume is actually very high. So pay attention to that. Now, where it gets used and how it gets used, those are different questions. But the trading volume is actually pretty high. So there's some kind of usefulness to the coin. But how much compared to other coins? I had to move, I think, a few $1,000s a couple of weeks ago. So I decided I was going to move it using Matic. Polygon. It was quick. It was faster. At that moment, it was faster than a credit card transaction. It was as if I was standing there in a store and held and tapped and boop. That's how fast it was. The vendor I was dealing with got confirmation like that. And I mean final confirmation. I'm like, wow, that was fast. And my fees? Whoa, almost nothing. Speed and low cost. Faster and less expensive than paying that and taxes on top. Or not taxes, paying the credit card fees on top. Because remember, that vendor has to eat those credit card fees and they have to set their pricing appropriately. Whereas I can just pay the price, boop, and they get all their money. And they got it. And they were quite happy. And then you have, whales, Shibarium, Shiba Inu whales going out there and just snatching up over $1 trillion worth of, or a trillion, not dollars, over $1 trillion Shiba Inu. Why is that? Well, that's because Shibarium, their Shibarium to Ethereum bridge is already in testnet area rather. So you have that. And I'm sitting back and going, wow, that's a lot going on. That is a lot going on. So I said, okay, that is going to tell me something about what's happening. Remember, in August, they're going to be making a lot of announcements. And then it's just open for business. Then I started looking at, the big one that caught my attention. This is why I'm talking about it last. The big one that caught my attention. I had noted that Grayscale had said everybody should be treated equally and blah, 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 blah. But you know what I missed? I missed a little point in that letter that said Grayscale does not believe Coinbase is a good surveillance partner for any firm looking to have a Bitcoin spot ETF. Whoa! Didn't notice that. Don't know how I missed it. This is what happens when you skim instead of read. So I sat there and I looked at that and I was like, holy moly. That's going rogue, right? Because what they're saying is that, well, we're not using them as a surveillance partner. We have something else in place. And I just said, wow. That's Grayscale trying to say we should be the only ones, because everybody else is using Coinbase, we should be the only ones to get approved. Wow. Talk about an end run. So when I looked at that, I was just sat there and I played it out in my head and I said, well, what's going on with Grayscale? It's not what's going on with Grayscale. It's what's going on with DCG. DCG has Genesis issues with Gemini and just settled with FTX. So they've got cash problems. So why the hell would you want to corner the market? Well, because everybody is going to sooner or later, if you think about it, I think everybody sooner or later is going to be approved. One way or another, they're going to be approved. But first to market means something. I think it'll mean something for like 10 seconds. Because how do you compare Grayscale to Vanguard or Fidelity or even ARK Invest or, BlackRock? You're not going to compare to BlackRock. Are you serious? You're not going to compare to any one of those companies. But it would give them a chance to make a grab for cash that they woefully need, right? And then, get out of trouble and move on. And then everybody else will come into the market. That's really what they're hoping for. But still, the move was very, very interesting. It was very interesting to sit back and think about that. Because obviously the effect would have a far reach. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking at as I take a longer scope view going forward. When I look, from a day-to-day basis, yes, I'm looking for things that are happening day-to-day that might affect today, tomorrow, or just within that week, right? But on a Sunday roundup, what I do on Sundays, when I'm sipping coffee, just saying, I sit back and I think about, what's going to have a possible long-term effect. And then what are the telltale signs, that what I saw is either going to be proven true or proven false. Then I have the ability to act accordingly, right? I give myself that long perspective. Then I come back and I say, okay, that was my long perspective. What are the short things that are happening? And are they starting to add up to those long-term views? Just saying. So I hope you like what I do. I hope you, take advantage of it. Whether you agree or disagree, I hope you're thinking about it, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all I want. That's all I try to teach my kids is you don't have to do what I tell you to do, but you do have to listen and consider. Because when you listen and consider, you start to think longer term, not just short term. You can see the forest and you can see the trees. That's the idea. Anyway, hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's Eddie J on Crypto. Have a good one. Bye-bye.